शून्यवादी आस्ते प्यारे शनारे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा. Everybody all together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody one more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chaitanya Prabhupada ki, Jaya Vishnupad Brahmahanti Parvata Acharya, all teachers of the Sri Sriman, Mr. Van Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki, Amracharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Premshiko, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas Adi Kaur Bhakti Vindi ki, Sri Radha Raghunath ki, Jagannasti Bhakti Balaram ki, Kanhaiya ki, Kanhaiya ki, Tulsi Devi ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Sadhguru Ratguru Kiri Govardhan ki, Namaste ki, all glories to the Son of devotees, all glories to the Son of devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to you, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna! On behalf of the Lamasina Mahasha and the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. Before I go any further, a very big thank you to His Grace Atri Rishi Prabhu, Her Grace and Surya Mataji, and Kanhaiya. Kanhaiya, can you please stand up? Let's give him a round of applause. A big thank you to them for coming to our very first Namahasha. Kanhaiya has given us an amazing kirtan to start today's program. And also, Kanhaiya is a matriculant of 2025, and he has made his mom and dad, as well as the entire congregation, very, very proud. Kanhaiya has matriculated with 8 distinctions. So we wish you well, Kanhaiya, your new venture now that you have matriculated. You have each and every one of our blessings, and may you grow strength to strength and continue giving us your amazing kirtans. That we look forward to very much.
Thank you.
So yes, it is our very first number 25 and 2026. See, I'm still there. 2026. Wow, it's so wonderful to see each and every one of you here with us. We promise to make 2026 bigger and better, and that can only be done with each and every one of you's support, dedication, and kindness that you have given to the Lamasina Mahasha year after year. So thank you once again for being here. It is now my absolute honor and privilege in introducing our speaker for today. And being our very first Namahasha, we have an international guest with us, and that is His Grace Kshudi Prabhu. A huge round of applause to him. Prabhu is a direct disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Prabhu first came across devotees in the year 1970 at Laguna Beach, California. A year later, he was initiated by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in Mumbai. And in 1972, Prabhu came to South Africa and spent 6 months here preaching during the apartheid regime, which was a very difficult and challenging time for him. So we would like to thank Prabhu for everything that he's given us and all the hardship that he's been through to bring us Krishna consciousness here in South Africa. We value all the contributions that he's made to the South African Yatra. And I will now hand you over to Prabhu. A humble request, there are seats in the front. So for those of you that are seated at the back, you all can come through. There are quite a few seats here in the front, and I promise it will be even better out here in the front. Thank you once again. A huge round of applause to His Grace Kshudi Prabhu.
I was here for 9 months, but 6 months of it alone. Now, how old? It's so good to see the young ones here. How old are all of you in the front? How old are you? 16. Hey, Kanhaiya? 18. When I was here, I was much older than that. I was 19. But the difference between 16 and 19 is a lot, isn't it? Because 16, you're still in school, and 19, you've already matriculated, right? It was back then, it was just Prabhupada and a bunch of youngsters. So first I will say a prayer to Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutali Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paschachita Satarane. So new ones are really young, because I was just 19. I looked about 13. I'd knock on doors, and people would look up the street. I said, "What are you looking for?" They said, "Your parents are here, aren't they?" I said, "No." They said, "They're coming back to get you, aren't they?" I said, "No, they're in America." They said, "How are you doing this alone?" I said, "I'm not going to do it alone. You're going to help me do this." And that's the whole idea, is that we have to engage others. So there's a few things I am that I was then that I'm not now. I'm not a child, and I'm not a criminal now. Do you know, during that time I was hiding out in La Mercy. It was a secret because I was a criminal here. I broke several. I broke the Group Areas Act. I was living in La Mercy, which was an Indian area, but there was no Indians living here. There was a couple of houses down by the beach, and they would come sometimes to visit. But mostly it was just me and an African caretaker who took care of the property. So we go through the risks for Krishna. Why do we go for the risks for Krishna? It's kind of like you look in things in life. Bhagavad Gita discusses things differently than many other scriptures do. Many other scriptures say, if you don't do this, you don't believe in this, you go to hell. Bhagavad Gita talks more about the actions we take than what we believe in. It does talk about that. But Krishna discusses things in a cost to benefit. What is the cost and what is the benefit? Someone know what that means? Kanhaiya, you're good at that. What does cost to benefit mean? You're not too sure. What is the difference between cost and value? Who can explain that? Better not spend any of you to make investments then. What's the difference between cost and value? Is it the same thing? What's the difference? Cost is what they're charging you. Value is what it's actually worth. Like if 200 Rand notes cost 100, which is higher, the cost or the value? Now, if 100 Rand notes are 200, which is higher, the cost or the value? So this is Sankhya. This is discussed in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is called counting, adding things up. We look at different things. We look at the different kinds of happiness. Things in the modes of nature are discussed in the chapter 3, Modes of Material Nature, of course, the 14th chapter, and of course in 16, 17, and in 18. And talks about the three kinds of happiness. We got the mode of ignorance, where it's poison in the beginning and poison in the end. The things are miserable. People spend a lot of money to get intoxication. They have a drug called sugars, which is a combination of amphetamines that speed you up, heroin, and rat poison. Which part of that is bad? Is it A, the amphetamine, B, the heroin, C, the rat poison, D, none of the above, or E, all of the above except for D? Which is it? All of them are dangerous? You don't take rat poison? People put the poison out for rats, and how often do rats take it? What? No, they only take it once. Because they die from it. They die from it. But it creates a hallucinogenic effect. So people like that. But so the mode of ignorance doesn't sound too good. The mode of goodness, you have to struggle in a little bit, austerity in the beginning. You tell people, come to our Namhata, we're going to do some austerities. Would you like to come? They go, austerities? No, I don't think so. So the mode of goodness, you get a good benefit later, but sometimes we have to struggle. Just like Kanhaiya was studying in school. How much do they pay you to go to school?
My mother gave me lunch.
She gave you lunch. So then it must be much better to work at the ShopRite because they pay you right away, right? But over time, the people at the ShopRite earn just this, and you get a good job, it goes like this. If you're going to work, you might as well do something where you can write your own ticket, or where you can be skilled enough to get paid well at it. So those are two kinds of happiness. Then there's happiness in the mode of passion. This one is nectar in the beginning. So that must be the best one, right? Is it true? Because it's nectar in the beginning, it's the best? But do most people think that? You tell people, hey, would you like to go out and meet some good-looking members of the opposite sex? Or come do some austerities with us? What would most people say? Do the austerities? No? They wouldn't? So it must be better, just like I saw in the bathroom. I'll change the wording to make it sound better. It said 500 trillion flies can't be wrong, eat stool. So if you go by the numbers, that must be the correct thing to do, right? Because more flies eat that. I don't have anything against flies, but when they come near my food, it's where they've been that bothers me, right? So the mode of passion seems like the best because you get the pleasure in the beginning. Don't think about the cost later. Just like if I say, I'll sell you this item, don't worry, I'll give you a bill later. Is that a good idea? Quite often they are coming cheaply. Don't worry, you'll pay later. Are not the best things. This is why Krishna says to use deliberate spiritual intelligence, to use the Sankhya philosophy to count up what is the cost and what is the benefit. And so some of the things sound good. We get the pleasure right now, but the benefit is small. Like Krishna talks about worshiping the demigods, antapatu phallam tesham, little benefit. Antapatu phallam tesham tad bhavati alpamadisham. Their intelligence is limited and temporary because they just want something now. Kadvamanga Maharaj had fought battles for the demigods. And how late shall I speak till? Midnight, is it? How late? 8:30, okay. So he'd fought battles for them, and they said, okay, you can have any boon you want. He says, how long do I have to live? 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes, he should have just asked for big enjoyment. How long is 3 minutes? So like 180 seconds? How long can you enjoy for 180 seconds? It's almost worse then because it's taken away. But is all enjoyment taken away? I remember I saw it on a t-shirt. It said, the body that I inhabit is much too fragile for the life I lead. And that may be true for many people. Because as time goes on, it gets harder to enjoy. This is what we have to understand in this cost to value ratio, the cost to benefit. That if it costs a little more, if you have to study a little harder, but later on you get the job you want and make money, this is going to be a better result. But our senses are telling us what we've seen before. So you have to be careful what we put in. Why do I never think about cricket? Because I never spent any time with it. But there's some people that want to check the cricket match all around the world to see what's going on. So the things that we think about are the things that come back. Just like in the computer, they have like with Facebook, I watch the reels of Prabhupada and devotees, so I keep getting more of that, right? Because if I put it in there, it gives me more, right? This is a computer algorithm, right? Why don't I get any cricket ones? I didn't put it in, so it doesn't come out. Where is the main algorithm we have to watch out for? Where is it? Where is it? In your where? In your mind. What you've put in it is what comes out again. These things work just like the brain. Because you haven't put cricket in, it doesn't come out. So we have to remember, okay, I'm going to put something in, but it's going to come out later. You have to realize what the result is. Some big, strong guy comes, and he says, you can hit me once, but I get to hit you back 10 times. Is that a good idea? Maybe if you hit him with a bat. But you have to be sure of the situation. So we have to add up this cost to benefit ratio before we do things. It's just like I was talking with someone earlier. It's like I train my children to do with things. First you take in the information, then you analyze the information, and then you come to a conclusion. Like say you're looking at properties. Say a property is for sale for 15 million rand. What do you need to find out? Is it only worth 10 or is it worth 20, right? Or do you just go by whatever the seller wants to get for it? Is that how you value property? You have to find out first what the value is, right? If the value is 10 and they're charging 15, it's not good. If the value is 20, that may be good. So quite often people don't look at that. They just think the price is good. I can sell you a cheap property in the informal settlement. Is that a good deal? For less than $1 million? I can sell you property in a country that has no crime and no diseases, and I'll sell it to you very cheap. It's the country that Donald Trump talked about called Namibia. Is that a good proposition? Is it? Who knows about Namibia? Somebody look it up on the phone. N-A-M-B-I-A, Namibia. What about Namibia? Does it sound good? I guarantee you there's no disease, no crime. No one knows about Namibia? What? No, not Namibia. Not Namibia. That's where you're fooling. It's not Namibia and it's not Zambia. Namibia. Look up Namibia. See what happens. Why does it just give you Namibia? Namibia. N-A-M-B-I-A. It gives you Namibia. I didn't make it up, Donald Trump did. Donald Trump said he met with the government officials from Namibia. Put in Trump in Namibia. Now see what you get.
It doesn't exist.
Where do you see that? Yes, okay. So that's why it's a good deal to get property there for 20% the price of anywhere else. Of all the positive things I told you, the price is good, there's no crime, there's no disease, all you could do is find the one negative. I gave you 5 positives, and all you can do is come up with the one negative. Is that negative important enough to stop you from buying property there? Is it? Yes? I'm going to get the deeds out right now, and you can buy them. Or is the fact that it doesn't exist, is that... I have to change a battery here, but we can continue talking. Is the fact that it doesn't exist, does that give you an idea that it might not be a good idea? So if I drop the price to 20%, it's a good price? But it's only 20%. Doesn't that mean that you're saving 80% of the money? What's the problem? What is it? It's non-existent. What else is non-existent? Krishna talks in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. No, I get this. Hold on. In the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says that of the non-existent, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, there is no cessation. So what is the non-existent? It's the material things, because they only exist for a while. Is there a big difference in if you got to live for 3 minutes? What is the difference if I sell you some property in Namibia, or I sell you a piece of property that you only get to own for 3 minutes? Is there a big difference? Would the guys rush all their friends and the girls in, hey, come be impressed by my property because I'm only going to own it for 3 minutes? Would they be impressed by that? You got to go in and out. So if something is that temporary, is it that much different from being non-existent? Is it? It's not really. But it sounds good. Just like the things in Namibia sounded really good until Radhanath found the one negative thing, that it doesn't exist. But Donald Trump talked about it. He can't be wrong. Just ask him. So this is why we have to add up the things too. We have to see the cost is very low. But if it doesn't exist, what is the value? Zero. Maybe twice that? Oh, you're sure? Okay. What if I give you 5 times 0? Now are you getting a good deal? I'm giving you 5 times 0, and I'm only charging you 1/5 of 0. But I'm putting a couple ones in front of that. So that's why it's a good idea to find out what the real circumstances are. Because I better not give them all away, but on Sunday, that's 2 days from today, right? In this country, it's the same after Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. I get confused with timing because of Laguna Beach is 10 hours behind, India is 3.5 hours ahead. So we have to know this cost to value. My children are very smart. They're spiritual and financial wizards. My daughter looked in the Money magazine, and there was foreclosures in Florida. And they said if you went and made offers on property, we were able to pick some up at 20 to 25% of the value. And they actually exist. So is that a good deal? If they originally sold for $250,000, but we got it for 50 or 60, is that good? It is good. So we have to understand, what if there's a $10 million property and you got it for 1 million rand? Is that better or worse than getting the $250,000 for 60,000? It's a lot more money, but you're getting it for 1/10 the price. And that's what devotional service is like. You may take a little more to get it, but you get eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Is that a long time? It is. Hiranyakashipu did all of his big austerities because he wanted to live forever. And Brahma told him, he said, I want to be immortal. And Brahma says, I Can't give you that because even I die after 311 trillion years. We would consider that a long time, wouldn't we? How long is 311 trillion years? It's pretty long, isn't it? So Hiranyakashipu tricked Brahma. He says, okay, I don't want to die in the day or the night. Brahma says, that's all right. He says, I don't want to die inside or outside. And then he says, I don't want to die on the land or in the air. Brahma says, okay, that's fair. He says, I don't want to be killed by a man or the beast. He says, that's the least you can ask. He says, I don't want to be killed by something alive or dead. And not in the day or the night. Now he's got it covered. He can't be killed, right? Because all of those things are the law of contradiction. You can't be inside and outside at the same time. You can't be alive and dead, just like you can't be old and young at the same time, right? You can't be the oldest person in creation and be young, can you? You can't be a coward boy and be God also, can you? These things defy the law of contradiction. God can't be a person because a person can't be in several places at once. That defies the law of contradiction. Are we subject to the law of contradiction? We are, but Krishna isn't. Krishna can be everywhere present. He can be bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest. That's what it said in Brahma Samhita. Dvaitam Vichutim Anadim Anantarupam Adim Puranam Purusham Navajovanamscha Vedeshu Durlabha Adurlabha Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna is a Dvaita, he's non-dual. He's a Chuta, he's infallible. Raise your hand if you have infallible. Anyone infallible here? You're sure you're not making a mistake and actually you are infallible? Anantarupam, existing in many forms, see? It is possible. Just because it's not possible for you doesn't mean it's not possible for God. That's why he's inconceivable. And it's hard to conceive too. I guess that's what inconceivable is. He's Adim Puranam Purusham, the oldest person in creation. So do they ever paint God as an old man? Do they? Where? Where is it? In the Sistine Chapel in Rome, Michelangelo painted God as an old man, and he's reaching out to touch Adam. But what's the use of being God if you have to be an old man? People have these strange conceptions of what God is. The comedian George Carlin must have heard something that Prabhupada said, because he said, what's the use of being God? People go, what do you mean by that? He says, well, people are praying to God, saying, God, please make sure my shop is locked so no thief gets inside. And the thief is praying, please God, make sure the shop is open so I can go in and steal something. He said, but what's the use of being God if you don't know what to do until someone prays to you with instructions? They say, okay, God, I have this instruction for you and that instruction for you. Do you really think he needs you to pray? It's like you're saying, all right, God, I will return to the spiritual world and I will do any service you want as long as that's in an advisory capacity. Is that what we need? Can we advise Lord Brahma? Does he have things under control really well? He's only got 4 heads. There's some Brahmas with 10 million heads. Did you see the Brahma with 10 million heads sneaking around here? I don't think you can sneak around with 10 million heads. Besides, he's a little too busy in his universe. Some of the suns are much bigger than ours, huge. 10 million heads. That's a lot, isn't it? So these things are inconceivable. They're more than we can understand. But if we turn to Krishna, then he gives us everything. Everything we need to know. Eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So we have to think of Are we getting something that seems real enjoyable, but it doesn't last? All the things in the material world don't last. The more you get of it, the less you enjoy it. Did they teach me this in high school? Did they? Actually, they did. Because I remember we'd take these little, you'd read a little section and you'd answer questions on it. And this was called the law of diminishing returns. Advertising uses this, but they don't use it to your benefit. I'll tell you how in a minute. The law of diminishing returns says that if you buy the 500 milliliters of soda, you pay more per milliliter than you do for the 2-liter size. You know why? The more you take of it, the less you enjoy it. Doesn't sound so good, does it? The more you take, the less you enjoy. So does advertising tell you that? Not exactly. I remember this commercial for the one cigarette. It says, are you smoking more and enjoying it less? What's the answer? They are. So what solution did they offer? Quit and surrender to Krishna and get Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam? They don't make much money off that, do they? It comes for free, and yet it's an ever-increasing ocean of transcendental bliss. Their solution is to switch brands. You should see how they are in advertising. Here's the one that says, you don't want this protein bar. It has pea protein in it. Nobody wants that. You want something healthy like bacon. Is that true? When is the bacon more beneficial than the peas? When it's being sold by the pork industry, of course. Obviously, anybody trying to say that. Meat industry hates peas. You know why? Why would they hate peas? Very healthy, accessible protein. It's all alkaline like ghee is. It's very cheap. It's very healthy, easy to digest. This is a terrible thing for the pork industry, isn't it? They hate it. You don't see them advertising peas, do you? When they're advertising, you know what that means? That the supply exceeds the demand. I found that something, there's great uses for Coca-Cola. It can clean like the toilet out. It can clean off like engine parts. It takes all the grease off very quickly. It has some very good things it does, but it may not be good for ingesting it. Just like that rat poison is good for something. Now, we don't go out on a big anti-Coca-Cola campaign because at least nothing's being killed for it. But it isn't the best thing. But which do they advertise more? Mangoes, peas, or Coca-Cola? They advertise mangoes more? No, they advertise the Coca-Cola more. And they advertise all the restaurants that serve all the bad meat products. The family of the executives of McDonald's, how often do they eat their products? Never. Doesn't that tell you something? If the people who run the company don't eat their products, does that tell you something's bad about it? Doesn't it? So we have to remember, we don't want to judge by what the flies think. If 500 trillion of them do it, it has to be the best thing. We have to go by what's the value. Right? You don't want a kilo of gold for free. You want to buy sugars. Why? Because he's selling it. So we have to remember this, to be able to be a little introspective and look for the issues in life. And to make a genuine effort, as Krishna says here in Bhagavad Gita, to understand how to love Krishna. On Sunday I get to give a class, and we're going to talk about a subject matter that 3/4 of living entities don't need to hear about. We're going to talk about imperfect senses. and the things that go along with it. 3/4 of the people are in the spiritual world, and they don't need to hear it. Anybody here doesn't have imperfect senses? Anybody can see through the wall? You can. That's good. How about this wall right there? There's a window there. Okay, see, his senses are better than yours. He figures out the things. He ruined my chance to sell property in Namibia, though. But it was only an example of what it was. So on Sunday, we'll talk about imperfect senses and the things that go along with it. The other thing is that we have to practice what's the real position of devotion. It's like, you know what the Rotary Club uses as their motto for speech? That speech should be honest, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating to others, and based on knowledge. Where does that come from? Did Rotary Club make it up? Did I make it up? Is it the 15th verse of the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Which one? It is. So why did they use it as a motto? Because it makes good sense. Can you argue? You give me some arguments why truth shouldn't be truthful, why speech shouldn't be truthful. Well, if you're trying to cheat someone or sell property in Namibia, then maybe truth shouldn't be. Or if you're trying to make people's life miserable, then maybe your speech shouldn't be pleasing. And if you're trying to agitate others, then of course you want that kind of speech. But this is the austerity of speech. Now I'm going to tell you something that you're probably not aware of, and it might destroy your faith in the internet. But everyone on the internet does not follow that. Did you realize that just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's automatically true? If it's on the internet, it has to be true? No. It's funny, you see things on there and you fact check it. Turns out it's not. So if we're going to experiment with things, you don't experiment with sugars, because there's a doubt in that. It's which one will kill you first, right? So you have to add up the cost to benefit. Is there much benefit in a drug that speeds you up? It's also heroin and it has rat poison. But do many people take it? Therefore, they must not be analyzing well. People are fooled by what they see and what they hear. This is the difference when we practice Krishna Consciousness, that we have to be more concerned with the ontology than the mortology. Who can tell me what that means? What's the difference? Mortology and ontology. What is the difference? Radhanath, look it up on there. Someone's calling you with the answer. What? What? What is the answer to that? Oh, what is mortology and ontology? What? Mortology is the form, ontology is the content. So you can get dressed up nicely in a dhoti, or you can be in a business clothes and be a devotee. And it's the content. We don't have to try to fool people. We have to try to gain some ourselves and share it with others. Back to Miami, Florida, where I went with my children and my granddaughter. We were buying some properties there. And I got all dressed up in a dhoti and kurta. We were staying in a motel near the temple. And I got all dressed up to go give the Sunday class. On my way out, 3 men came in dhotis and kurtas. I said, "Oh, Hare Krishna." They said, "What?" I said, "How are you saying what?" I said, "Are you going to the temple?" They said, "The what?" I'm going, this is impossible. So as I'm walking away, they said, "Where are you going?" "The Greek toga party's in the room in here." I said, "I'm going to the temple to give a lecture about Krishna." And we both looked at each other like totally surprised, because the form was the same. But they were going to give a lecture at the temple, and I was going to the toga party, correct? Is that correct? Is it the other way around? But did the form look the same? If we got it mixed up, it would have been a little hard for them to give a lecture. I could have stood in the corner and faked the toga party, but it's pretty hard to go to the lecture thinking you're going to a toga party and figure out how to tell about Krishna. I'll put on the cricket uniform. That automatically makes me a cricket player, doesn't it? I'll even hold a bat. I'll put even number 10. You know why is number 10 good? What's that? Yes, it was set. So if I have a 10 on my uniform and I'm holding a bat, that automatically makes me an expert, doesn't it? Does it? You're sure? Many people wouldn't be, though, would they? My friend did that. He went to a Halloween party, and he put like a skull cap with a seeker went through it, and all the people knew him, and he says, "Hey, you guys coming to the temple on Sunday?" And they're all looking at him, and nobody could tell that it wasn't a real devotee. They have sometimes the devotees in the movie. So what we have to understand is the real benefit that comes from it. The trouble is with that algorithm is that if we put something else in that's less, it keeps coming up, right? If you went to the store and ordered stale bread, then they would keep advertising it to you. I was telling the stores, because the technology had come up, that I don't know if they do it here, that they should use a computer and you put it in milk or bread and it tells you exactly where it is. So then they said, "Yes, we've done that now." They said, "We put it on an app." So is that a good idea? You go on the app and ask where it is in the store. You know what happens when you download their app? Do they wait for you to look for something, or do they tell you what they want you to buy? If you have the app, how often do they contact you? Too much. They start stalking you, right? Should be a criminal thing, is stalking me. So the app sounds good, because the computer, you type it in with the app, they advertise to you what they want you to buy. Do they use those in this country like that? Or they're a little behind here, aren't they? Are they way behind here? Sometimes I hear like the music in the mall, it's like 20 years old. I think I went through a time warp. They do have computers here though, right? Yeah, when I was here in the 70s, I watched the same amount of television everyone else did in the country. You know, they didn't even allow television here because they didn't want people to see what's going on in the outside. That means there is no outside world. Just like some people discovered this about Venus. They say, "Oh, there's a big atmosphere around it, so there's no one there." That's like saying some of these people have a big house and there's a big wall, right? So you can't see the people, that means no one's there? No, it means they're just hiding what they're doing. So some of them have a thicker atmosphere so that less heat comes in and they can live there comfortably. But Prabhupada says there's life on all the different planets. So just because you can't see it because there's a wall up or an atmosphere doesn't mean that it's not there. But people don't believe in things that they haven't seen. This is why they go on the computer, they go look for the same things they've seen because that's all the information they have. They don't believe in it. I was in India in the early 70s. Now they have very nice freeways there, but I told some of the boys there that in America we have a road called a freeway, and you drive at 100 kilometers an hour, and they don't allow animals or cross traffic. One said to his friend, "Hey, listen to the story this American made up." I said, "No, it's true." But people would get all kinds of different ideas. Say you went back to Salem, Virginia in the 1600s, and you took a cell phone and you showed them how you were talking to other people. What would they think? What? What?
You lost it. You lost the plot. That's not possible.
They see you talk. It's like they say the Inca kings used to talk to people in a mirror. Do you talk to people in a mirror? To someone who doesn't know what's a cell phone. It's a mirror, isn't it? If you'd never seen a cell phone, you would think, hey, he's talking to a person that's inside that mirror. But of course, if you did that in Salem, Massachusetts, that was when they had the witch, they would think you were a witch and they'd burn you at the stake. You come and bring them a future invention, must be from Satan, and they'd burn you at the stake. So much for your good invention. So you might have something that's valuable, but if people in the wrong mode of nature, they won't appreciate it. The people, because they're in the mode of ignorance, they want things that will kill them. Because people in the mode of passion, they go for material enjoyment instead of going for the spiritual enjoyment. It takes a little austerity, but when we're willing to restrict ourselves a little, we get more enjoyment. That's the Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Does that sound better, or limited and temporary and quick is good? Let's see what kind of questions they asked here. Or do they give me the answers? I have to figure out what the questions are. Is everything that happens in your life predetermined by Krishna? I think we're talking about it there. It's like the algorithms. What we put out is what we get back. Man proposes and God disposes. So by us doing certain things, Krishna arranges for that. We can't think I'll do all nonsense and Krishna will help me, or that is what Krishna wants to bring us. So we have to propose the right things. Can you explain the significance of chanting Hare Krishna and Hare Rama, specifically in the Mahabharata? Why are these words repeated? Well, because it's the Maha Mantra. Hare is the female potency of God, Radharani. Krishna is God who is all attractive. And Rama is God who is the supreme enjoyer. That's one of the things we suffer, because we forget that God is the supreme controller, the supreme friend, and the supreme enjoyer. So it's back to that mode of passion. It sounds so good, right? The boys look at the girls, and the girls look at the boys, and if all the stuff is in the right place, it's more attractive, isn't it? Even though it's made out of mucus, pus, bile, but in the right place, it looks attractive. So this is the mode of passion. But in the spiritual mode, we have an ever-increasing ocean of transcendental. And in this age, that is why in this age, the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada bringing to us the chanting of the holy names is the most important, because that is what works for this age. It's just like if you go to a doctor and he gives you the latest medicine for your condition, that's what's important, not the fact that they did other medicines back in the Middle Ages or other ages. It says here, can you share some reflections how Srila Prabhupada and tolerance with his practiced something in tolerance with his disciples. And you can please tell us about association with Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, I listened to the Nectar Devotion lectures, and Prabhupada said in the beginning, he didn't introduce regulative principles. He just got people to chant, and they come later. And this is something we learned. Like, we may want somebody to be very renounced and practice all of the principles. But if they don't do that, are we happy with them? Yes, because the temple is a place, you see, in other religions, they kind of drop the standards, but everybody has to come every Sunday. So they kind of bring up some things and down others. So everybody's kind of at the same level. They all go to their church every Sunday. They all do certain things, but they don't generally go too much further. They don't talk about progress. It's more like all you have to do is believe. Just like if you get a job, you don't really have to do the work. You just have to believe in the job, right? Does that work? No, you get not a check, you get they call it a pink slip in America, which means you got fired, right? So we do accept people on all conditions, that we want to make people feel like they want to do it. That's why when someone comes to the temple the first time, we'll give another multiple choice questions. A, do we tell them about, try to convince them to become a brahmachari? B, do we just give them prasadam and tell them to go home? Or C, do we try to make them feel like they want to come back next Sunday? Which one is it? You make a low goal. You make people feel like they have a friend and they want to come and do it. We make people feel, again, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is what we started with, the cost to the benefit. We don't say, hey, you're going to hell for doing this. We say, hey, if you eat the vegetarian food, you can offer to Krishna, and it's going to be more healthy, and you'll be happier. If people eat meat and they smoke cigarettes, but they do it somewhere else, we don't stop them from coming. We don't tell them that first time. You don't start with something difficult. Prabhupada says you go in like a needle and come out like a plow, meaning that you start with something simple. Like Vaisheshika says with books, he says something like, have you heard of stress? Would you like to find out how to get free of stress? Are they going to argue with that? Some Christians say something like, does your name appear in the book of life? Do you know if you didn't surrender to Jesus, you're going to go to hell and burn in a lake of fire? Does that mean they say, hey, I want to come to your church? Is that how you feel? That's why when people come to a temple, they're afraid. They're afraid of being rejected because you go some places, they look at you like, what are you doing here? You're an outsider. You know, and they figure it's only for a certain group of people. That's why when we give out cards, we give an invitation card, not a flyer. The one person said to Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, well, that's a Hindi temple, and I'm a Tamil, I can't go because it's a Hindi temple. Bhakti Chaitanya Swami said, do I look like a Hindi to you? So people have these misconceptions. They're afraid they won't be accepted. Even worse, you show up in the foyer, like Sri Radharani has the foyer there right in the beginning, and they talk to you for 5 minutes, say, okay, now you're going to join this church and agree to not go anywhere else. We don't stop people from going somewhere else. They can still go there. We let people come to visit sometimes. They can come every Sunday. They can come every day. If they want to, they can become a brahmachari and move in the temple. We offer varying degrees, which are much higher and much lower than most religions have. But people are afraid of being rejected, even more afraid of being accepted. After 5 minutes of talking to them, and they want you to join, who do they want you to have faith in? Them, obviously. If I only talk to you for 5 minutes and you don't get to see a temple and read a book about it, there's one group in America that particularly the recruiters to this group, they pick on the boys who don't have much of a father image and they're a big brother, and they get them to join an organization where you can travel the world and see different countries. And if you leave this, you go to prison for 3 years. You know what this group is called? United States Army. You get to travel the world. In fact, maybe you get to go to Iran soon, or go to Venezuela to help get the leader out. When war comes in Iran, you get to go as a soldier, right? And they call us a cult, where we tell people, come, and Prabhupada says, come, you can come and do what we do, or come and just watch what we do. And we're the cult. They say we have idol worship, yet you go to any church, they don't change the clothing on Jesus ever, do they? And you come to the temple, every single day it's different. So how are we the idol worship? So again, it goes back to the form and the content. How is it that we're the idol worship? It doesn't come possible. So what Srila Prabhupada did is he would try to just get people interested. And from there, he says, because without faith and love, one cannot think of Krishna even for a moment. So the best thing is if we get people to want it, they'll come back on their own. You don't tell them. It's like one girl asked me that I'd known from high school. She says, how do you get free of stress? I told her about chanting, and she says, can I buy some of those beads here? And she bought some beads. And one person told me, did you tell her if she doesn't follow all the regulative principles, it won't do any good? I said, no, because you have to start somewhere. Prabhupada says it's a long road from the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga. So we need to know the art of getting people started happily where they're at and letting them feel satisfied, not like whatever you did, it wasn't enough. Does that make you feel good about it? Whatever you did, it wasn't enough. Is that encouraging? No. I say, that was nice what you did. Let's come back next week and we'll see how we can improve on that, right? You know, you use the right kind of terminology. It's like somebody said, I said, that's the wrong terminology to use. He said, somebody's guru had left the movement. He says, well, my guru passed away. He says, so I can relate. I said, no, that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. If you didn't have something happen, you can't relate to what they're going through. So we have to try to make people feel good about whatever they're doing. Once Jayapataka Swami, I told him that he had one disciple that seemed to want to take more than he was giving. I said, how do you reconcile this? He says, well, sometimes you think of how the Swami went to the miser's house and he put out his cloth and the miser put coal in his cloth. And the Swami said, thank you so much. And the miser said, how can you thank me? I put coal in your cloth. He says, because you're such a miser that any giving you do at all is good. It doesn't even matter what it is. So sometimes for people, that's what we want to do. We want to encourage people. And we discuss things on the objective case, not the nominative case. Meaning that, for instance, if someone lights a cigarette at the temple, I don't say, hey, you can't smoke. I'm sorry, smoking is not allowed here. It's the object of it that's important. You have to know when to use these cases. Prabhupada talks about that quite often. That's why I say, why is someone already speaks English? Why are they studying it? Because knowing how to use the right case in the right time and what's the primary point and what's the secondary point is very important. So we have to be very clear in understanding where someone's at and what point we get across. They put this in the ISKCON congregation newsletter, some of the things they'd said at churches that gave the wrong connotation. The one said, for those of you who have children and don't know it, we have babysitting available downstairs. Sounds like you have children and don't know it, but they don't mean that. They mean the babysitting. The other one said, the low self-esteem meeting will be held on Tuesday night. Please enter through the small door in the back. The Overeaters Anonymous meeting will be held on Wednesday. Please enter through the large doors in the front. The other one said, Reverend Hargraves was sick. God is good. Reverend Hargraves is better. Of course, they meant he was better from the disease, but it came out to being something different, right? So you have to be sure of the connotation that you're getting across. This is something you study in etiquette. Like in etiquette, if a man walks in the restroom and there's a woman in the bathtub, what is he supposed to say? Do you know what he's supposed to say? Who knows? I'll give you a hint. Is he supposed to say, excuse me, ma'am, or excuse me, sir? Which one is it? Really? But it's a woman. Actually, he's right. Because would you rather that if the man walked in, oh, excuse me, sir, and oh, he didn't notice it was a woman? Rather than saying, oh, I'm sorry, Radha Govinda, I didn't mean to see you in the bathtub, right? It would be. So we have to know what the message we're getting across to people is. We have to understand what people are going through, just like the doctor finds out. And this is what Prabhupada did, is he understood the Americans' mood and understood how to give people. Just like someone said, why do we read about the 4 kinds of people to surrender to Krishna? You just surrender to Krishna. But some people are in search of money, some are in distress, some are inquisitive, and some are in search of knowledge of the absolute truth. One woman in Durban said, you know, I told this couple that if they're in distress financially, they can come to Krishna. And they said, well, we never worry about money. Well, this family had bought airline tickets for their 2 children and flown to Cape Town, and they took the yacht, not the yacht, a cruise ship from Cape Town to Durban. These people live in Los Angeles and have a second home in Laguna Beach, where the cheapest home you could find in Laguna Beach would be somewhere around 37 to 40 million rand. That's the cheapest. If that's their second home, are they in hurt for money? No, that isn't going to work with them, right? So we have to understand what the people's needs are first. We have to show, like, the content's important. It's like Jayapataka Swami says in the Bhakti Vriksha groups, that people want to know how much you care before they care how much you know. So that's why it finds working on ourselves and becoming more Krishna conscious, that automatically gives the solution, because then people want to know something about you. You do that, the book distributors who are that way, people go, what is this person doing? And they want to find out. And so that's what Prabhupada did with us, because he was Krishna conscious himself. All he had to do was he went to the park and he played on Madanga drum, right? No, he didn't. He had bongo drums, right? The closest thing to it. But because the chanting was so pure, people listened up, you know. There's different kinds of chanting, right? Like we had to. Who went to that play they had at the girls' school? Anybody went to the play? The Radha Dasya? And that one in the beginning, what is it? Yadurani was singing. She can sing, and so can I, but they have her sing to bring people. They have me sing to send people home, because my voice is not very good. So we have to make sure in our message to people, are we making people feel secure? Like telling him how much, if I say, I see you're going through some problems. I've been studying this Bhagavad Gita for a while. Maybe we can look through here and find a solution. Or I can say, I've been reading this book for 55 years. You need to shut your mouth and open your ears and listen to me because I know and you don't. Even if it's true, it doesn't come out very well, does it? So like Prabhupada says, you make a bold proposal in a humble way. This is good for collecting. If I say, you know what, we're building a new hall down by Sri Sri Radharanath. And we really need 1,000,000 rand. But if I can just get 10% from you, don't worry, I'll get the other 90% somewhere else. Now, what did I just ask you for? What? No. 100,000. Or if I say, I want 100 rand and I want it now, get it in your pocket. That becomes insulting. So we have to present it in a palatable way. That's the austerity of speech. It has to be palatable, not agitating to others. We have to think carefully about what's the goal we're trying to do. Like when someone comes the first time, we find out something about them to see what we can interject. And quite often it's like I train my kids in personal relationship and business. You gather all the information first. Then you analyze it and look it over, and then you come up with an answer. My father trained me this way. He says, what's Mickey Mouse, a cat or a dog? Quick, what's Mickey Mouse, a cat or a dog? Which one, cat or dog? See, if you don't think about it, either answer is wrong. So we have to think about things before we give an answer. If we're talking with people, we need to understand what's going on with them before we... Because quite often how they feel about something is even more important than what's really going on. So we have to understand with people. Just like he got it. What do you say? You think, well, you say, excuse me, ma'am, because it's a woman. But it's not true. She's more comfortable if you said, excuse me, sir, because then it appears that you didn't notice it was a woman. So we have to think these things through to see what the reaction is. The same with our actions. Because they start that algorithm up. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment. From such attachment, lust arises. From that, anger develops. From that, one's intelligence is lost, and they fall into the material pool. Doesn't sound very good, does it? So we passed our time limit. Hare Krishna. Don't let someone else do it.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much to His Grace Kshudi Prabhu. As I mentioned right at the beginning, that Prabhu is an international guest with us. And he did say as well that he will be giving class at the Sunday Love Feast at the Sri Sri Radharanath Temple. And that is the Hare Krishna temple in Chatsworth. So Prabhu is here for a limited time, and it will be wonderful for each and every one of us to take this opportunity of getting his wonderful association. So let's give Prabhu a huge round of applause for an amazing class.
I go to Johannesburg on the 23rd, and then I'll go to Mayapur on the 7th of February, and then I'll go to Vrindavan on the 7th of March. And on April 6th, I go back to America. And that's with limiting my travel, because it's the second time I've been here this year. So it takes a whole lot of time. It costs me a whole lot of money to come here and be with you. But at least my life doesn't get threatened this time.
Thank you once again, Prabhu, and also for being here with us for our very first Namahata, giving us your wonderful association and spreading the very positive spiritual vibrations to each and every one of us. And a very busy itinerary for 2026. Prabhu does a lot of preaching in Indonesia and Vrindavan and here in South Africa and Laguna Beach, California as well. So let's give Prabhu another round of applause. Just a few announcements. Today has been a very sad day indeed in our congregation. We lost a wonderful devotee, and that is Her Grace Rasalika Mataji, that left her body early this morning, and her funeral was this afternoon. So a humble request to each and every one of you to chant an extra round for Mataji's onward journey of her soul. She was a wonderful devotee that served over 52 years in ISKCON, and she's been the backbone of many projects that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has done. So it's a tremendous loss to each and every one of us. So a humble request to please chant an extra round for her. Once again, thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us. Our next Namaharta is on the 30th of January. Our Namaharta is every alternate Friday. So the next one is on the 30th of January. And we have a wonderful speaker as well. And that is His Grace Prabhanu Prabhu, who is the temple president of the new Jagannath Puri temple in Phoenix. And many of you here do know Prabhanu Prabhu, and he gives really, really wonderful classes, and he's well-versed in scripture, so you all do not want to miss his wonderful association and his class as well. So thank you once again to each and every one of you for joining us for our very first Namaharta for 2026. And we're going to have some lovely Kirtan that's going to take place now. We've reached the end of our program where we're going to have Aarti. May I please call Vedavyas Prabhu forward as he will perform Aarti, and thereafter Guru Puja will follow. And we have sumptuous prasad awaiting y'all. And prasad is food that is sanctified and offered to Lord Krishna, which makes it extra special. So please, each and every one of you, do partake in the delicious prasad that was prepared by the wonderful devotees today. Thank you once again. May we please all rise. Hare Krishna.
Divine Krishna is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki, Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa Parvata Acharya, Auspiciers of Sri Sriman, His Divine Grace to the AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Nanta Guru Vaishnava Ki, Ramacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Purji Ko, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki, Shri Radha Radhanath Ki, Jagannath Sri Bhakti Radharam Ki, Vimalmaya Ki, Yogamaya Ki, Dasadevi Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Shabbat Kundrat Kundiri Govardhan Ki, all glories to the seven devotees, all glories to the seven devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Hare Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sing along, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. I'd like to thank our Kirtan team, Kanhaiya, Chantan Prabhu, Ajit Prabhu, Kamal, and everyone else. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much to this amazing Kirtan team, and they will continue with amazing Kirtan. Hare Krishna.
One more. One more.
Sri Guru Charana Hare
All glories to the Son of the Lord. All glories to the Son of the Lord. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Kanhaiya. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada.
What do you think? What do you think?